Hey guys, this is Matt Baker from the HMO platform. Now today I've got a very special guest who's joining us to tell us about how he's managed to really scale his portfolio since starting to work with us at the HMO platform. So we've got Michal Kuziorowicz.
That's right, yeah. Not bad. Kuziorowicz, yeah.
Kuziorowicz. I'm Michal, and Michal is a guy that we've been working with very closely for probably about 16 months now, 16, 17, or longer, probably longer.
Probably longer, yeah. Probably like 18, 19 now.
18, 19 months. And he has gone from strength to strength in building a portfolio. And in fact, not just building it from the ground up, scaling massively. So when we started working with Michal, he had a firm foundation in his portfolio, but wanted to grow, and grow he did. So just to start with, how many projects did you do in 2022? In the 12 months from January to December, how many projects?
So I did 13 projects from January to December 2022, yeah.
So 13 projects. How many rooms is it? Because you focus on HMOs, don't you?
Yeah, mainly on HMOs. I mean, purely on HMOs, and I've added 60 new units to my portfolio in that 1 year. Yeah,
fantastic. That's some mega scaling. And what does that 60 units look like in terms of a regular monthly income?
So regular monthly income, that added up about £13,000 to my cash flow per month.
Nice. That sort of scale looks like. Some people take 3, 4, 5 years to get their first 10k worth of income, and then just to smash that 13k per month in net cash flow, that's profit every single month, is absolutely an amazing feat. So first of all, congratulations for hitting that. Hopefully that's a great teaser for everyone to keep watching and keep reading this interview. So before we get into the detail of how you've done it over 2022, let's go back in history a little bit and tell the readers and the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm an ex-builder. So yeah, I came to UK in 2002. It's been a while, actually. Yeah, nearly 20 years ago. And yeah, I'm from Poland. So came to UK, started as a builder. Spent about 10 years in a building trade, then eventually moved into climbing, and mountains is my big passion in life. So eventually I moved into that and became a climbing instructor and mountain leader, and that's what I did for a few more years. And then eventually got to the conclusion, this doesn't work. Working for someone else and selling your time, I mean, replacing your time for whatever salary you get, just doesn't work. So yeah, I've started browsing and decided, right, properties is probably something I have to go and do. So that's how it started. I've signed up I've basically went and educated myself first, and then bought my first property, and then the rest is, I guess, history.
So you got some knowledge and then you put it into action, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So how much of an impact would you say your background before property has had on what you've done since you started? And when did you start investing? When was your first property purchase?
So the first property purchase was in November 2018, and I've started education probably a year before that, maybe just under a year. Yeah. Impact on my past. So let's put it this way: when I was young, and then later when I came to UK, my life was always not very easy. It was always a hard graft. Always a hard graft, and especially when I was a child, that was a hard graft as well, because Poland, I come from fairly poor family, and pretty much for as long as I remember just working the whole life, and the deal was, if you don't work, you don't eat. Simple as that. So obviously I transferred that to the construction, and then yeah, it was just hard work constantly. So I guess that's probably what I bring to properties, that graft, that hard work, and I know by doing it I can achieve my my goals, get the results I want. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what was it that inspired you to start investing in property?
What inspired me to invest in properties? It was basically that thing of, obviously, me getting older. So first of all, in construction is a very physical job. So at some point, okay, my hands hurts, my legs hurts, and everything. I'm only getting older. So yeah, I guess it's that, like, knowing I won't be able to do that for a very, very long time. And then again, like in being a climbing instructor is a very rewarding and great job, but it doesn't pay much. So it's just that simple as that. Like, I just needed to find a different way of making money. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll fast forward to 2022 in a minute, but so you bought your first property in 2018. Can you summarize what you achieved since you bought your first in 2018 all the way through to, I suppose, those first 3 years of buying? What gave you that firm foundation?
Yeah, so I bought my first buy-to-let in November 2018. Renovated that by myself. I mean, with my business partner. So we renovated that by ourselves. We've put the tenant in there, and that was the moment where it all clicked. It was like, right, it actually works. Someone is there living in our property, paying us rent. So that's amazing. And then from that, knowing it works, we pretty much went and bought another first two HMO conversions, the tiny one, both 4 beds, and that was February and March 2019. And pretty much from that point up to the end of 2021, I think we've purchased 8 properties altogether. So at that point, we've had 2 buy-to-lets and 6 HMOs, and HMOs were varying from 4 beds to 7 bed. That was the largest one. Yeah.
Okay, so you've done that, and some people would say that's amazing work within just a 3-year period. And then what was it that made you think, right, and now this isn't enough, now I need to scale up? What was there a deciding moment or a switch that went, I need to do something differently?
Yeah, so obviously everyone has those sort of goals, like, oh, I want £3,000 per month, I want 10,000, I want 50, and so on. And my idea was always, I've never really had any numbers in my head. I just thought, I'm just gonna go big again for like few years, scale up massively. Even at that point, I wasn't even entirely sure if I want to go into developments or big conversions or anything like that. I just thought I'm just gonna basically maximize the cash flow as much as possible. And again, that's purely came because I've heard once, cash flow is a king. So I thought, okay, I better work on this. so yeah. That's what I did. Yeah, that was the factor. I was like, right, for the next maybe 2, 3, or 4 years, that's what I'm gonna focus purely cash flow, and I'm gonna maximize it as quick as possible. So then eventually I'm gonna slow down massively with properties and actually enjoy life. Whatever I want to do in life, and yeah.
Fantastic. So let's look at this 2022 year in numbers then. So you started buying quite quickly. So what did you achieve in those 12 months?
So what did I achieve in those 4 months? So as you said, as we said at the beginning, I've purchased 13 properties, which added about 4 million of value into my portfolio. That's the combination of 60 units, all HMOs, and that's roughly added about £13,000 of cash flow to my portfolio, and it was a combination of one particular deal, which was a portfolio of 7 HMOs in one go, and that's yeah, I've completed on all 7 of those in one day, which was an amazing feeling. And then the remaining 6 was a smaller HMOs. I mean, smaller, some smaller, some bigger actually projects, where some of them were ready-made HMOs and some of them were conversions from 3 or 4 bed properties into 4 to the biggest one is 9 bed HMO. So yeah, a real mix.
So in reality, it wasn't a scale up in terms of the size of project, because you'd already had experience doing 4 beds all the way through to 7 beds.
Yeah.
So the largest one you've done beyond that is 9. So the scaling up was more, how can I get more of these types of projects quicker?
That's correct. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, at that point, what I understood, obviously, it was very interesting times as well, because market was very hot. I mean, the properties were going one after one after one. So at that point, I thought, okay, I'm converting those properties, and it's the conversions takes time as well, massive amount of time. So I thought, okay, what else can I do? How can I even speed this whole thing up? And the idea came to my mind where actually I can go and start buying ready-made HMOs and be a bit more creative with funds. So that's when I've started going out to people and asking if people would be happy to get on those projects with me on the form like of like a JV. And the deal was very simple. The second party provides the funds and I do everything else. And it's a simple thing of 50% of something, or whatever percentage there is always better than 100% of nothing. So that's what I've started doing, and all of a sudden I've noticed everyone is struggling to get deals around, and I'm getting those deals because it was just the way I've structured the finance side of things. Yeah.
So that leads us very nicely onto money. So you say you come from a very kind of poor background, family. What is your attitude to money? And I'm going to assume it's changed dramatically over the last five or so years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very interesting. I'm still learning to spend money. This is something really hard ingrained in my mind to keep saving, keep reinvesting, and really not spend. So it is an interesting lesson at the minute to actually learn how to spend and enjoy spending them. But yeah, money for me right now massively is a facilitator to what I want to do in life. To what I want to do in life, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so have you always worked with other people's money from day one?
Absolutely, yeah. The entire portfolio is built on others people's money. Yeah, and I mean, it's still quite hard to believe, but yeah, until today I still didn't spend a single penny of my own money, and that's purely because I didn't have any to begin with. Simple as that. And yeah, obviously now the portfolio has the equity, which obviously comes from adding value and capital appreciation and etc. But yeah, even today I don't really use my own money. I still go source money and use other people's money to keep scaling up. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, well, one of the, I suppose, if we were to boil it down to some scaling tips, as it were, so you say, what you've done, you managed to scale because you reduced how much you were willing to take in a deal to allow room for more investors to come in, by buying deals that brought cash flow straight away. That's very appealing to certain types of investors.
Absolutely.
And wrapped in that as well is that you just bought 7 HMOs in one go. So in reality, it wasn't 13 deals; it was only 6 seven deals, seven
Yeah.
deals. So it was seven purchases, even though one of them included 7 properties.
Yeah.
So that's a bit easier to manage from a sourcing perspective. So you saw 7 deals over the course of 12 months, which resulted in 13 properties, again, which is amazing. So that's how it's possible to scale faster. And finding people that have got money who are struggling to get returns on it elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. So let's have a look at the at one particular deal. So is there one that you are more proud of than the others?
Well, it has to be the seven properties portfolio. Yeah, it has to be this
7
one.
in one go. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just tell me a little bit about that then.
Yeah, so that landed on my lap by pure coincidence again. Like I was browsing on the Rightmove, and I've seen this property, so I called the agent to ask a couple of questions about the property I saw, and we've started chatting, and then before I knew, he said, because we obviously the conversation went into HMOs and me being a HMO landlord, and then he said he actually knows someone who is about to put the whole portfolio of 7 HMOs on the market. And I was like, right, would you be happy to share the contacts? And he did. So pretty much the next day I was in that person living room chatting about this deal, which was quite insane, because obviously the value of the whole portfolio at that time, the asking price was 2.65 million. And I really, really remember very well sitting in that living room thinking like 2.65 million, oh my days, like what am I even doing here, This is insane, because obviously up to that point, the biggest probably purchase price for the property I've paid was maybe around £250,000. So, a jump from 250 to 2.65 million is
10x.
10x basically. So I really remember that conversation. But anyway, I just went along with the conversation. It was fairly long conversation, and we've started negotiating, and I was leaving that house with my offer of 2.57 million on that whole portfolio. So I've managed to drop that down slightly. The asking price was 2.65 million. And at that point, he had actually few interested parties as well. But yeah, I've managed to drop that down to 2.57 million, which, to be honest, was more or less the Brigham value of those 7 HMOs.
The bricks and mortar value.
Brick and mortar value, yes, exactly, yeah. And it, even just calculating the value of all furniture in the house, in all of the 7 houses, I think when I've calculated roughly, that came down to like about 50,000-60,000. So at the end, what we've paid was pretty much the Brigham value of the properties plus the furnitures plus a little extra on top of it, which came down again to probably about 50,000-60,000 pounds as a premium, because it was a portfolio sale. And even at that point, we could go with a commercial valuation on the whole portfolio and probably get a better valuation on it. But we've actually decided to get 7 separate mortgages at Brigham value as well, at 75% loan to value as well, because obviously the money, the investor had money, and we were happy actually to go with slightly lower loan to value, just to protect ourselves as well, which again, it was actually a very good move, because what came next, I mean, what came at the end of last year and beginning of this year actually sort of proved that the strategy we took was very good. The portfolio was cash flowing roughly at £9,000 per month from day one. It was fully let as well. So basically the split was very basic, 50-50. So I took 4.5K from that, and the investor took 4.5 from that as well. But you know, it doesn't stop there. There was actually a massive, you know, potential for development. So a lot of those properties came with like 2 living rooms, and you know, not the small one, fairly big ones. There is no extension, no loft conversions, so massive amount of value to be added. And we've already added extra 3 rooms to the entire portfolio, and that was a very, very basic of, you know, taking one of the living rooms, leaving the other one as a living room, converting one to extra bedroom. We didn't go into lofts or extensions yet, but that's probably gonna follow at some point in the future. One of the houses came with land attached to it as well, like a side land, and we are in the process of actually getting drawings and talking to a planning consultant, and we are thinking to build another dwelling on it as well. So this will be my first new build as well, so new experience as well, definitely. So yeah, massive amount of value to be added. And obviously in the last year the rents, especially for rooms, went massively up. So again, every new tenant, the rent was slightly higher. I've added, I mean, I've increases some of the other rents as well. So probably just that exercise at quite easily probably another £1,000 of rent. I mean, no, sorry, not rent, of cash flow into that portfolio as well. So yeah, no, that's probably the one I'm the most proud of. Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, because the future value of that is still to come. You know, you bought that cash flow on day one, and then you got your cake for later as well.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, we shook the hands, and that was the basically the purchase confirmed, agreed. I mean, and I remember driving home thinking, right, I have to go and find 900K to purchase this thing, which was obviously another big challenge in itself. But I'm obviously to carry on that story. One of my investors who had some money in the business already, I thought I'm just gonna approach him and see what he says. And I remember he was organizing this bonfire night party with you know, a lot of people there. So I thought I'm just gonna take, you know, the biggest bottle of vodka I've got, and go and talk to people. and yeah, that's what I did. I remember being in this shed, you know, doing those shots with those people and talking about this deal. And one of the guys, the guy who had you know, cash in our business already, he said he will be very happy to come forward with us on this deal. So yeah, he did, and it was actually quite amazing because again, I'm leaving this party absolutely smashed, you know, with a little bit of, you know, mind still there, thinking, what the hell just happened? I've just secured 900K here. This, you know, this deal, the reality of it is, you know, that might actually go ahead. So yeah, that's quite amazing feeling.
Amazing. So was it the same investor that had the money in already?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic. So obviously that's an amazing achievement to get £1 million in one conversation. Obviously this investor already likes, known and trust you.
Yeah.
But the bottle of vodka, that's probably the best value bottle of vodka ever. Really, a bottle of vodka is worth £1 million.
Absolutely, yeah. Very expensive one.
Fantastic. Maybe you could set up your own home brew. You know, the wealth creator,
Yeah.
or something. Has anything particularly gone wrong in this scaling journey?
Good question. I mean, there are challenges here and there. Nothing went horribly wrong, I would say. But yeah, obviously the refurb cost started going up at the beginning of last year, so that had massive impact. We had to change plans here and there with some of the conversions. For example, on one of the projects, we were thinking actually to add the extension. At the end, we had to actually reconfigure the whole project and try to find savings. So at the end, we didn't add that extension. I guess the other one, I've had one property in Midlands where it was actually a 3-bedroom house, and the plan was to convert that to 11-bed HMO by wrapping the house with extensions on the side, at the rear, and etc. And yeah, that was a long process, and that's probably the biggest one for me last year, because at the end we've ended up with 7 beds, 7 ensuite, planning permission on this one rather than 11, and it was all down to side extension, where council basically didn't really like the side extension we were proposing. And again, in my mind, I thought, that the house next door did it, why we wouldn't be able to do it? But again, the house was on the corner, and council basically didn't like that. We didn't get that permission. So yeah, it was all about, that was probably the project I've learned quite a lot on it, because obviously we were on a very expensive bridge to begin with. We were waiting for that planning. We couldn't really start the development of the site, because we didn't literally know which way we're gonna go. And at the end, we had to actually make a call to convert that property to 4-bed, 4 ensuite HMO. And that's purely because that planning permission decision was not coming. It was delayed and delayed and delayed again. And at some point we were 18 months into that bridge, and I thought, okay, we have to do something. So I've rerun the numbers and actually find out converting that house to a simple 4-bed, 4 ensuite HMO will be probably the most cash efficient strategy at that time. And again, it's not just the standard, room ensuite HMO. We actually went with like a big room, so the rooms are massive. We're talking 14, 15 square meters, some of them, plus a beautiful walk-in bathroom. And again, we're talking like good 5, 6, 7 square meters bathrooms. So it's more like a very, very tiny studio, but in a HMO where everyone shares kitchen and living area. So that's what we did. And again, it was interesting because obviously that last year the prices of the properties went massively up, and what didn't work as a 4-bed when we purchased the property actually worked as a 4-bed amazingly with numbers 12, 13, 14 months later. So yeah, that's probably the big one for us this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So but I guess is I'm just going to add I guess it's all about just adjusting to the changing environment of what's happening in the properties. And we always have this idea of staggering deals nicely, one finish, you start the next one, but in reality it never works like that. I mean, my experience so far from last year is I've tried to stagger them together, but then they all came at one point, and it's like, okay, I've got 5 live deals, 5 live conversions on the go, and it's like, oh my days, what the hell am I going to do? So yeah, I guess it's just you just have to adjust and keep going. Yeah.
Fantastic. So if there was, so leading on from that, is there one particular piece of advice that you would give to someone who's wanting to scale at the same level that you've just done in the last 12 months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say probably the biggest one for me would be just keep taking actions, and don't procrastinate, because first of all, there won't be a perfect time ever. Don't try to, as I said a second ago, planning is important, but don't base your decision because I've got this wedding coming here, or I've got a holiday coming here, or I've got already those 2 projects on the go. Just go with it. Just keep taking actions. When opportunity comes your way, just grab it, and then figure out what to do with it, like timescales. And what I'm trying to say is basically take actions, yeah, and don't worry about what happens in the future. You know, just take actions, and then when the challenge comes your way, deal with that challenge. Yeah, that's probably the one I've been following for the last year, and it works amazingly. I mean, you know, it gets you sometimes to a periods where you're gonna be very, very, very busy, but you know, again, you know, it was again very interesting last year, because you know I've been just busy buying properties, where this year is all about, okay, this is not a property investing anymore, this is actually now running a business, and you know, I'm learning how to run a business and how to scale on that, like how to systemize things, how to work with people I've got on board in that business. So is a very interesting experience, that's for sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what does the future look like for Headway Properties?
So how the future looks like. So yeah, as I said, this year, the beginning of this year, the first half is I'm systemizing the business. So that's the main focus. I've got a couple of purchases in the background as well, not at the same speed. But then again, the second half of the year will be to carry on acquiring HMOs or HMOs conversion. But at the same time, at this stage where obviously I've got that new build, I'm trying to get the planning permission on. So this will be my focus as well. But again, I will be going into bigger conversions, so probably looking to commercial to residential conversions. I will be looking on the land as well and acquiring land, building on it. So yeah, I will be going into bigger developments, I guess. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then personally, you talked about wanting to be able to have more time. How are you, now that you've had a really busy year of scaling, what are you doing personally to take advantage of that?
So yeah, very, very busy year. So obviously there was 13 properties purchased. I thought this year I'm gonna have 13 holidays. So every month I'm treating myself to a nice holiday. Yeah, as a treat. And yeah, it's good because I can slowly see I've got that time back. That time is actually coming back to me. And from every week to week, it's more and more. So that's actually quite important to me, because obviously I've got my time now to go and climb, go and run, and obviously the most important, I've got the time with my family as well. So that's very important. And yeah, where I didn't have any of the time last year, I think by the end of this year I will actually have plenty of time. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Michal, for being with us here today. And that's that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If people want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Headway Property Investments. Yeah, that's where people can find me. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So thank you so much, Michal, for joining us. If anyone's interested in reaching out to him, please do go to Headway Property Investments, and we'll put some links down below as well. And I think that's just an amazing example of how possible it is to really scale a property portfolio for cash flow, for equity, and also just to, I think something I really took away from that was that 50% of something's better than 50% of nothing. So in order to really scale, giving to others and bringing other people in is the only way to do that. And we've been privileged to be able to see and support Michal through that entire journey. For more information about everything we talked about today and the HMO platform, click in the links down below. And don't forget to subscribe.